Welcome to Sunshine Art and Drawing. Today I'm going to be doing a showdown between the Sharpie Twin Tip marker and this Deli Marker that I found on Aliexpress for about 1/5 of the price. So let's get started, and we're going to be doing some comparisons. So I'll be doing some drawing and writing with both of these markers so you can see them compared against each other and see if it's even worth buying the Sharpie one, or whether you could get away with getting 5 of the little Deli markers for about the same price. So this is the fine end of the marker, the kind of more marker end, and then you've got the more like pen type end, which is for very fine lines, which they call ultra fine. And both of them have the same width and the same sort of laydown of color. They're both black, and as you can see, I can write quite easily with the Sharpie one. It writes fine, there's no skipping, and same with the Deli Marker. There's no skipping, no jumping. You can write in kind of block. You can also write in a bit more of a cursive kind of writing, and it writes fine. And I'm also going to do some sort of fancy lettering type characters that you would normally do if you were going to use these markers for, say, like some writing, bullet journaling, that sort of thing, and also some little sort of designs or anything you wanted to write. As you can see, both of them write really well. There's no issues. The only thing that I can say, which is a slight issue, and it's only very slightly, is that on the paper I used, the Deli Marker bled just a tiny bit. Like, you would lay down a line and then you could see that it sort of went a tiny bit fuzzy, a little bit more fuzzy than the Sharpie one, but it's not that noticeable, and it's only if you bring it really close that you can see it. And it could be the paper that I'm using, but the Sharpie didn't really have that issue. I'll bring this up nice and close so that you can see any sort of issues in the text itself after I've finished drawing and doodling all these little doodles. And I'll also show you the back of the page to see that both of these bleed through. All Sharpie markers kind of bleed through regular paper. But as you can see, all zoomed in, both of them come out really well and very sort of crisp and clean and easy to see. And here I'm going to be drawing a sort of bit of lettering and some drawings. Always plan out what you're going to write before you write it. It just makes it easier for you to space out where you're going to be putting the text, making sure that it kind of lines up and you don't run out of space at the end of the page. There's nothing worse than planning something out and writing it and then running out of space. So I'm going to do it in pencil first, just because I want to know where each sort of letter is going to go. And then once I've decided that, I grabbed a ruler and just sort of made some straight lines, just so that when I write it with the marker end, it would be sort of straight and neat against the edge of the page. So I'm doing this part with the Sharpie marker just to kind of show you what the Sharpie marker does. It's actually quite good. Nice and thick lines. You can thicken them up. You can go over the top of the line a couple of times and it doesn't sort of break up the paper. Like all Sharpie markers, nice and reliable. And I'm also going to be using the fine end just to do a little bit of detail here. I'm just drawing a little butterfly on the other side of that B just to make it a bit decorative. And I'm also going to be using some watercolor in a moment. Let's erase all of that pencil. I spent a bit of time doing this because I really wanted to be able to put watercolor on it and see how that worked. So after you've let it dry, give it a good erase. And here I'm going to be using the Deli Marker just to draw a sort of little pretty bunch of flowers. So I'm using the ruler here just to make some stems so that they all sort of finish in the same spot. And then once that's done, we'll do all the little petals of each of the little flowers. I figured I would do little daisies because I thought that was cute. And as you can see, it draws fine. There are no issues with drawing intricate things, little things, doing little dots, that sort of thing. The feathering seems to have gone away. It could be just the paper I was using, or maybe because it was a new marker. The marker sort of ink itself was a bit sort of liquidy, and as it starts to flow now, it's becoming a bit more sturdy on the page. So now that I have done all my drawing, let's grab some watercolors and we will try to do some watercolor over the top and test the color fastness of the actual markers themselves. I haven't let this dry. This is just, as you can see, I straight away did it, so I didn't leave it overnight, and the water doesn't make the ink bleed, which is fantastic. It's always annoying when you use something for line art and then you go over it in watercolor and all the ink bleeds and it just is a disappointing mess. But here you can paint over either side of the marker, the ultra fine or the fine end, and it will paint fine. You can see that my little set of watercolors is a bit worse for wear, but it still works, and it's perfect for just these little kind of tiny jobs where you just want to test out something. You're not pulling out a huge set of watercolors. And after I had finished all of these lovely little flowers, as you can see, we'll work on the butterfly in the center. Now for the butterfly, I wanted to do sort of a marble kind of effect in the center of the bee part of the wings. So I added a bit of water there, and then you just dot in different colors, and the colors will bleed and kind of mix together. And I did that with a whole bunch of different colors, some reds and pinks and orange, a little bit of blue and a little bit of green. And then you just don't touch it and you let it dry. And what will happen is you'll end up with a pretty little marble kind of design. And then on the other side I just kind of did a plain color so that it wouldn't overtake the pretty marble side. And doing all the edges and that sort of thing, I didn't have any issues with the ink moving around, bleeding or anything around the water. And I did put quite a bit of water there. So now we're done. I hope you enjoyed this one, and hands down I think that you could get the Deli marker and it would work just the same if Sharpies are a little bit too expensive for you. But I hope you have a sunshiny day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!